Hello, nerds! Thank you once again for watching Generally Nerdy. This is your Week in Nerdom Comic Books edition for the week of April 2nd, 2018. This week in comic books, we've got some really obvious Fantastic Four news, the final book for Dark Knight's Metal, we've got spoilers on Doomsday Clock number 4, we've got some new stuff over at IDW, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of ground to cover, so let's hit the intro real quick.
Quiet on the set, rolling.
Hi, I am Bitsy Telek.
Hey, I'm Hale Appleman.
I'm Walter Kane.
I'm Rene Aubergenois. Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Commander Worf, Star Trek The Next Generation.
Come and see me and hear me and talk to me and listen to me talk about myself.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, often considered generally nerdy, and you are listening to what is often considered generally nerdy.
On Generally Nerdy.
You're listening to
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
Generally nerdy.
Before we hit up any news, we have to hit up the sponsor. This week's episode has been sponsored by the guys over at punishshirt.com. If you missed the contest, you can still get this shirt right here over at punishshirt.com. punishshirt.com. They've got more than just my shirt, they've got a bunch of other stuff too, but this shirt helped me get up over 100 subscribers, so I want to thank those guys very, very much, and congratulations to the two winners. You know who you are, your shirt should be to you sometime next week, and let's jump into the news real quick. First on the news, we are talking about Fantastic Four. In super duh news, they announced, oh hey, we're going to be doing a Fantastic Four book. Yeah, we already knew that, Marvel, but they did give us some details, so let's go over those details real quick. The writer will be Dan Slott, and the artist will be Sarah Pichelli. I believe I pronounced that one right. It seems I have a pretty easy time with the Italian names for whatever reason. I am not Italian. I'm totally Irish and things that aren't Italian. But anyway, they are now free because we're close enough to it. They can talk about it, and because their runs on their previous books have come to an end. Both of their previous books were Spider-Man related. Dan's previous book was Amazing Spider-Man, and Sarah's book was the Miles Morales Spider-Man book. Their final books have come out, so now they are working hardcore on this Fantastic Four book. Dan Slott is also currently writing Iron Man, and his artist on that is Viero Shitty? Something? I'm not cursing YouTube, I promise. They also announced a quasi-release date. It will be sometime in August. They didn't give which week, but it's going to be a monthly book, so it doesn't really matter. Probably the first week of August. And just random bits of information for you. This will be the first Fantastic Four book since 2014. So they've been without a proper Fantastic Four book for 4 years. So, I mean, it's very strange that they're like the first family of superhero books, and they were without a book for so long. So I'm really interested to see where this book goes. No real announcement on the plot when I was doing the research for this. If I got any of that information by now, I will put it down in the description, but that's all we have at this current juncture, so let's kick on to the next bit of news, which is Daredevil. Spoiler alert for anyone who has yet to read Daredevil issue number 600. And spoiler 2, 3, yeah, I just for common courtesy, I don't really care about spoilers, but the internet does, so let's be nice to the internet and they'll still hate me, so why do I care? Anyway, rambling. It looks like writer Christos Gage and Charles Soule just killed the Kingpin. The end of book 600, the Hand shoots Wilson Fisk with like a crap ton of arrows, and he's down in the final frame he shows up in. So, is he gonna stay dead? That's the thing. I don't think anybody ever really officially stays dead in comic books, but this is a villain, and traditionally, if you're a villain in a comic book and they kill you, you're more likely to stay dead. So, is Kingpin a big enough villain to come back in future issues, or is this the end of the Kingpin, at least until they reboot? That's a very interesting thing to consider, because they don't really kill off big characters like that very frequently. So, also, does that have any play on the Daredevil series on Netflix? Because they're bringing Fisk back for season 3. So, very, very strange. Let's talk about that down low in the comments. But that's all we've got on that. So we're kicking over to Doomsday Clock number 4. Again, spoilers. If you have not read number 4, then go read it and come back in 3, 2, 1. Sally Jupiter is dead. Less impactful because A, she was super old because the Watchmen universe travels in quasi real time. So, like, that was kind of expected if you're going to continue that kind of line of storytelling. But with Dr. Manhattan transporting all of the heroes from the Watchmen universe into the DC universe proper, it's still noteworthy that they killed off Sally Jupiter. Not likely to return because we do have her daughter, Silk Spectre 2, is still alive and kicking, so just so long, Sally Jupiter. Other things from Doomsday Clock number 4, there was a lot more to unpack than just the death of Sally Jupiter, though that was pretty big. We finally learned who the new Rorschach is. It is Reggie Long, and for those of you who don't remember from the original Watchmen book, Reggie Long is the son of Malcolm Long. He was never actually referenced directly in the original book, but Malcolm Long, who was Kovacs, or the original Rorschach's therapist, Reggie, again, was never referenced directly, but Malcolm Long on his desk had a mug that said #1 dad, or world's best dad, or something like that, and so it was inferred that he had a family and children. As Reggie Long got older, he went a little crazy himself and spent some time in a crazy house and met up with Mothman, who could still fly even though he was behind bars, so would use his ability to fly to go steal stuff. And part of that was Rorschach's original face, so the mask, and his dad's notes on Rorschach, and so reading this kind of inspired him to become the next Rorschach. So it's really interesting. I'm really digging that angle for this book, because they brought Rorschach back without like bringing from the dead Walter Kovacs. So very well played. I feel like very well written for that element. Some of the other stuff that's going on in Doomsday Clock is a little slow, I want to say. It's still a great read. I'm not telling you not to read it, because Doomsday Clock is easily some of the best DC writing going on right now. It's just, when you go into it, it's a little slow, so be aware. The next issue of Doomsday Clock will be out in May, so they are still doing the 2 months in between. I feel like we talked about this last time we brought up Doomsday Clock. I'm going to bring it up again. Do you guys feel like the 2 months in between books is killing the storytelling? Is that why it feels so long? Because we've had so much room between? Yes, I feel like that's at least part of it. But also part of it is they're just going really long with this story. Long-winded, I feel like, is a little more appropriate, because it's only 4 issues so far, so that's not a long story. And it's going to be 8 issues, if I remember correctly. So again, not a huge story arc, but a very impactful story arc. So maybe it is the spacing. I don't know. Let's talk about that down low in the comments. But now we're kicking over to Dark Knight's Metal. Book number 6 was the end of Metal. Where do we go from here? I feel like the end of Metal was a little... I don't know how they're going to bridge, because Metal has to somehow bridge to the Doomsday Clock book. So there's a year of comic book time in between those 2 books, which means the wedding of Batman and Catwoman happens in that year. The Dr. Manhattan comes to... all of this stuff has to happen. We have to build up to Bruce getting... or Batman, rather. Sorry, Batman fans. We have to get for Batman getting the chair. Brain fart. I'll put a word. I don't remember the word, but it'll be right here when I do this in post. So much that we have to lead up to is this another book that kind of was a little difficult to read because of the time between books? I feel like once a month, it was a little over once a month. Sometimes they were once every 2 months, just like Doomsday Clock. Did that kill the enjoyment of the book? Again, let's talk about that one down low. Next on our list, we're talking about Teen Titans, and they are revitalizing the Teen Titans lineup. So as of issue number 20, they're adding some new kids to the Titans. This isn't like the Justice League lineup change that we talked about last week, in that all of the characters they're adding are legitimate adds and not just re-adds. Because, again, Justice League, the characters that they added were at one time before in the Justice League. They just took them out for New 52, and now they're back in for Rebirth. This, though, they're creating a couple of brand new characters. So returning, the complete new lineup will be Damian Wayne as Robin, Wally West, Kid Flash, Emiko Queen is Red Arrow, and then the 3 new characters are Crush, Jin, and Roundhouse, rather. Sorry. Roadhouse was a interesting movie with Patrick Swayze. Anyway, 2 of the 3 are pretty unknown. The Roundhouse we know nothing about. Jin, though, we know at least the implications of the name, because it's D-J-I-N-N, as in like a genie from the Middle East. She is implying that there's magic. Again, we don't know a whole lot about Roundhouse. I feel like the Teen Titans have not really had a magic wielder in a while, so that will be interesting in the variety of storytelling that we can get from a proper magic wielder. But the third one, Crush, is Lobo's daughter. That's right, DC's Wolverine has a daughter, and she's a Teen Titan now. As of Titans book number 20, she will be part of the team, and there was not a whole lot of information aside from the fact that she was Lobo's daughter. So is she just a female version of Lobo? Are they doing something along the lines of her being rebellious against her father? So that would make her a little more straight cut. There's interesting possibilities associated with that. It'll be very interesting to see where they go from here. The new story arc will be written by Adam Glass, who previously wrote for Supernatural and Criminal Minds Beyond Borders. Neither of them the TV show versions, the comic book versions of those 2 properties. And then the art will be Bernard Chang, who just got done doing Batman Beyond. So, interesting stuff. I'm really intrigued by new members of the Titans, especially how they're going to work into that universe, because it is, generally speaking, pretty centric on Gotham and Metropolis and sometimes Star City. So how those 3 characters are going to play into that general atmosphere of those 3 cities will be very interesting. But we're going to kick on down the road to our last bit of comic book news this week. And this is one from IDW. We don't generally, because there's not usually a lot of information for properties that are in the smaller publishing houses. And IDW isn't exactly a small publishing house, but they're not the big 2. So there you go. This one, it's a new book called Demigod. It's going to be written by Ron Mars and art by Andy Smith. It looks like, so it's kind of a DC. It's kind of IDW's Deadpool is what it looks like. They're not exactly billing it as that, but the description is, if you're reading between the lines, hey, this is Deadpool, is kind of how that goes. Basically, it's a slacker, like, stoner guy who gets godlike powers and doesn't care. And so then he's like a smartass and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see a different take on that kind of character. I don't know how successful it's going to be because Deadpool is so popular. But I feel like this is potentially just going to look like it's derivative of Deadpool. But You never know, it could be fantastic. I don't know that I've read much or anything from Dan Mars, so it's super up in the air. If you have, let me know if he's done anything worth checking out down low in those comments. That, guys, is where we are ending this week's comic books episode. What did I miss? What should we talk about next week? Definitely let me know in the comments down low. If, though, you want to go deeper into that conversation, then there is a website you can check out. GenerallyNerdy.net is the place to go. You can find all of the stuff up on GenerallyNerdy.net. That is the central location that will take you to everything. Links to the SoundCloud, links to the social medias, links to the YouTube if you're not already watching me on the YouTubes, links to everything, the stores, so you can get yourself a GenerallyNerdy.net t-shirt, or you can go get one of the other brilliant shirts that I have put out, or the collaboration shirt with the guys at punishshirt.net. I don't have the link up there directly yet. You kind of got to dig for it, but it will be up there by next week. And yeah, if you would rather, though, contribute to the channel a little more directly, there is a Patreon page, patreon.com/generallynerdy. You can jump on for just $1 a month. There are more tiers. You get more stuff. That's how Patreon works. Again, patreon.com/generallynerdy is the place that you can do that. If you are new to this channel, click that subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell so you get alerted right as soon as I post these videos, because sometimes I'm not exactly the most punctual with my postings. I apologize for that. If you like this episode, please click the like button. If you are falling behind in your nerd news and you want to catch up, click or tap that box right there to the left of my face to do that. But before you go check out any of this awesome stuff that I am offering you guys, you need to always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.